Cheers, what it is and what it ain't. Listen, this new episode is about the power to reinvent yourself. I want y'all to stick around and watch this episode all the way to the end because I'm going to tell y'all the 3 superpowers that I discovered that I had that helped me to be successful. And also, at the end, I'm also going to give you guys the power to reinvent yourself. How did I reinvent myself after a major breakup? And I think it's going to be very informative. Y'all might be able to use it as well in y'all daily life. This is for the fellas, so I definitely need y'all to stick around for that, all right? Y'all stay tuned. New episode is about to drop right now. Cheers.
That boy.
Cheers. You are now watching Create a Steady Hustle with Likquidcash.
Cheers, what it is and what it ain't. It's yours truly, Likquidcash. I need it all out the stash, aka money making Mitch. Hide ya, bitch. Y'all already know what it is, man. It's a new episode. Listen, it's gonna be a classic episode. I want y'all to lock in. Stop whatever you're doing and lock in. It's all about the power to reinvent yourself. It's gonna be very informative, so I need y'all most definitely to lock in, you dig? Now check this out, man. Y'all already know what it is, man. I gotta tell y'all about the swag report. Of course, I got on that salmon suit. You know what I mean? That's salmon. This is not pink for the guys that's thinking it's pink or the ladies that's thinking it's pink. Nah, this is salmon, you dig? It's a nice suit, man. Listen, man, it fits in my body right. Anytime you buy a suit, man, you gotta buy a suit that's gonna fit to your body right, man. You know what I mean? Don't be afraid to put on a nice suit. I'm trying to tell you guys, man, don't be afraid to put on a nice suit, man. Trust me, she gonna love it. You don't gotta put on a tie or nothing like that. You can get a white little, you know what I mean, t-shirt like I got on, man, and just throw that shit together with some, you know what I mean, Louis Vuitton bottoms. You feel me? Hold on, I gotta let y'all see the bottoms, of course. The Louis Vuitton bottom sneakers, man. You feel me? Yeah, you gotta do that, man. Brand new shit. You know how I do, man. Come on, man. Y'all know how I do. Listen, this is gonna be a dope episode. It's gonna be very informative. Like I said again, man, I had to give y'all a swag report, something short and sweet, nothing too long, man. Of course, I got frozen water on my wrist, frozen water on my neck. That's just how I do it. That's just how I live my life. It's boss life, you know what I mean? Because it's all about the details. I got the orange and brown scarf. I got the little pen, the music note pen. You feel me? It's all about the details. I have to do the swag report because a lot of times people be in my DM want to ask me, you know, about my clothing, about my cologne, about the shoes I wear, about the glasses I got on. So listen, these are Bottega Venetas, all right? I said this many times on my episode. These are Bottega Venetas, but you have to get it custom made because the lens, these are custom made lens, man. You dig? So you won't find these in no stores. These are custom made by yours truly, all right? I like to stay fly. Sometimes, like I told y'all, I get fly just to be on this episode. That's it. You know what I mean? I get fly just to be on this episode, man. You feel me? So listen, we're going to get right into it, man. You dig? This is about the power to reinvent yourself. But what's the meaning of reinvent? That's to change something so much that it appears to be new. Now, check this out, man. For me, the key word is appear. Because at the end of the day, you can appear to be something you're not, but you have to actually make that change. You have to actually do the work. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times people want to fake it because perception is reality. But you're going to have to actually do the work to make the change. You can't appear to be a new man. You can't seem to be a new man. You can't look like a new man. You got to actually be a new man. You feel me? And a lot of us are faking it to make it, using that perception is reality theory to actually try to appear to be something that you're not. See, when it comes to reinventing yourself, you got to change things about you that you don't like about yourself. And that's hard because you have to do some self-reflecting. You got to do some soul searching. And most of us don't like to do soul searching. That's why a lot of us like to be in big groups a lot of times. We don't like to be alone because sometimes when we be alone by ourselves, we don't like the person that we are. You feel me? So we don't want to reinvent ourselves because we love that perception that we put out there to the world. But deep down, we don't really like the person that we are. So I want to dive into this because it's very important that we understand that you have to become a different person if you want things to change in your life. See, you could lie to the people, you could lie to your peers, you could lie to your family, but at the end of the day, man, you can't lie to yourself. And most importantly, you cannot lie to God. You know what I mean? I'm gonna say that again because I think y'all be listening too slow. You can lie to your peers. You can lie to your family. You can lie to your friends. You can lie to everybody under the sun. But most importantly, you can't lie to yourself and you can't lie to God. You could appear to be something, but you have to actually make that change. You dig? And I also want to express this. Appearing to be something you're not is one of the many conflicts in relationships. Appearing to be something you're not, because a lot of us sometimes put on that facade to appear to be something that we're not in these relationships, and it causes a conflict down the road. And listen, I'm not gonna act like I don't have F's on my report card. Yeah, I got some F's on my report card as well, man. You feel me? Yeah, I'm not one of those guys that's gonna speak about himself like he's high and mighty and that he don't have some flaws or some things that he changed along the way. Yeah, I got a lot of F's on my report card, man. I made a lot of mistakes, but at the end of the day, I changed those things along the way. Now, sit back, relax. I got a story to tell because I want to let y'all know about the F's on my report card, man. I remember one time I was living in Harlem, New York City, of course, and I was living in the projects, one of these buildings. I don't even remember the name of the building, but it was a small building, almost like a project building, but not a full structure project building that was connected to, or almost like in the back of a full structured project building. It was on 126th Street, and I think between 3rd and Park Avenue. But don't get me the line, man. It might have been Lexington, but at the end of the day, it was in Harlem, right? And I was dating this fine chick, man. She was definitely one of the most, most beautiful females that I've dated at that particular time. She was popping, had a lot going on for herself. She used to be at all the parties. She was almost like a party promoter, you know what I mean? A socialite. She was always in the new parties, having a good time. But she was a bad joint, man, you know what I mean? Bad joint. So I really didn't care too much because she made money being in these particular events. This is the first time people, was paying for females to come and host parties. So anyway, she was my chick, you know what I mean? We had a relationship. This was I was definitely, game goofy. I didn't really have too much game. Yeah, there was a time where I ain't had no game, for sure. I had a little bit, but it wasn't enough, you know what I mean? I was definitely game goofy. And so, like I said again, she was my girlfriend at this time, right? So she came over to my crib. Matter of fact, hold up, I'm speaking. Let me say the story right. I was at the crib with my side piece. Yeah, I can't leave out the details. I was at the crib with my side piece and we was counting some money. We was just cooling, chilling, you dig? And she came, my main chick came over to my crib unexpectedly. Yeah, she came over my crib unexpectedly, knocked on my door. I looked through the peephole and it was her. And at that time I was ignorant, so of course I let her in. You know what I mean? I wasn't really too smart. If I probably would have did something different if I was a little bit more wiser. I probably would have acted like I was at home. But for some reason she knew I was home, and for some reason I let her in, all right? So I let her in, and I didn't let her in my bedroom, of course not. And I told her, I got somebody in the bedroom. And she was, kind of pissing, upset about that. But see, my side piece kind of knew what was going on, so she wasn't really tripping. You dig? I kept it all the way 1,000 with my side piece. You dig? But I was putting on a facade with my main piece. You know what I mean? And that's the mistake. You see, my side piece knew more about my life and the things that I was really doing more than my main piece. And we make that mistake a lot of times. A lot of times we put our main piece on a high pedestal and we want to keep them away from the things that we doing. We want to keep them away from the street life and the things that we get into. But at the end of the day, sometimes they can handle it, but we don't give them the opportunity to see if they can handle it or not. And that was me back then, you dig? So I was telling my side piece, chill, my girlfriend is out here, you know what I mean? And I got to smooth things out. My side piece wasn't even tripping. She was cool. She was acting accordingly. So I had to go in the room, told my side piece what it was, go back to the living room, told my main chick, chill out, my side piece is in here. She didn't know I had a side piece. She started an argument. So anyway, I got the side piece out of the crib, right? And now me and my main joint in the room talking. I'm letting her know, hey, listen, man, since you want to know the truth, this is what it is. You dig? I came clean. I told her, listen, man, me and my side joint, we get money together. We handling certain business, you dig? So I need her in my life because she's profitable. She's basically adding value to my life, you know what I mean? She's the reason I could buy you nice shoes. She's the reason I could take care of certain things around your house and around my house. You dig? So at the end of the day, man, it is what it is. I'm trying to rationalize the concept of me having a side joint. That's how ignorant I was at the particular time, not understanding that shit wasn't gonna fly. But of course, me being charismatic, of course, her feeling me and she being in love with me at the time, she let it slide, but she never forgot about it. So it caused a lot of conflict throughout the years because she never forgave me for that shit. Even though she act like she did, she really never forgave me for that shit, you know what I mean? So anyway, basically what I'm trying to say in this particular story is that my side joint knew more about my life and what I was getting down with more than my girlfriend at the particular time, you know what I mean? And like I was saying again, that's where we go wrong. Sometimes we gotta let our females or the main joint know what we into, man. You dig? And she gotta deal with it or not. But at the end of the day, I'm not gonna get rid of my side piece because she not only, you know what I mean, helping me pull these jugs off, she's also, you dig? It's a good vibe. It's a good time. You know what I mean? She might not be qualified to be my main piece, my main squeeze, but she's a good time and we get money together. So, you know, she had to understand that. That's just what it was. But like I said, again, I got a lot of F's on my report card. I give myself an F for the way I move at that particular time in my life. You know what I mean? Today, I wouldn't do that because I'll be all the way straight up with my main piece and let her know what it is. And she gonna have to deal with it or not, you dig? But at the end of the day, man, we gotta be all the way straight up because you can't appear to be something. See, I was trying to appear to be a nice guy with my main joint. I was trying to appear to be somebody else. I was trying to appear to be another way. You feel me? Like I wasn't a dude that's out in the streets really pulling jugs and busting licks and doing my thing, you know what I mean? But that was a long time ago. I'm a changed man. I'm now newly reformed. You feel me? I ain't doing the same things I did when I was younger, but you know, we had to get it out the mud and I was living how I was living, you dig? I was a product of my environment, but a wise man once told me, man, don't be a product of your environment. Let your environment be a product of you because you can pick your sins, but you can't pick your consequences, you dig? That's very important. I'm gonna say that again because I know y'all be listening too slow, man. Don't be a product of your environment. Let your environment be a product of you. You can pick your sins, but you can't pick your consequences, you dig? Now, for me personally, I was living very foul at that time, man. I was living foul at that time, you dig? I had a different alias for different women in different boroughs. That's how I was living, man. If you live in Queens, I had a different alias for you. If you live in Brooklyn, I had an alias for you. I had an alias for every woman in the 5 boroughs, man. You know what I mean? I was one person in Queens and I was another person in the Bronx and I was another person in Brooklyn. That's how I was carrying it, man. You feel me? We never gave women our real names. Nah, never. That's how we was moving. You feel me? And it had a street element to it as well because at that particular time, I was doing so much dirt. I was getting into so much shit at that particular time that you had to have different alias because if you did a crime or did something wrong in Brooklyn or Queens, you don't want them to be looking for you in Manhattan if you lived in Manhattan, you know what I'm saying? Or better yet, if you lived in Brooklyn and you did some dirt in the Bronx and they looking for Timmy in the Bronx, but in Brooklyn, your name is Chris, you dig? They never gonna put 2 and 2 together because they looking for Timmy in the Bronx, but in Brooklyn, your name is Chris. So that was the dynamic, or that was the reason why I had different aliases in different boroughs because I was getting myself caught up in all kind of different shit. So I had to have different identities, you know what I mean? And so that trickled on to the streets, that trickled on to my personal life with women. They all had a different name. I mean, I was dating a female one time for 5 years. I ain't gonna lie, I'm gonna keep it all the way 1,000. I was dating a chick for 5 years and she didn't know my full government name. That's how low I was. That's how secretive I was. That's how mysterious I was. That was just a scorpion inside of me, man. I'm a Scorpio. We very mysterious, you dig? And yeah, somebody say that's crazy. How you was with a chick for 5 years and she didn't know your full government name? Man, listen, man, I was playing it like that, man. You feel me? I was doing it like that because you got to understand at that particular time, I also was an immigrant at that time as well. So you dig, I wanted to be very low key. I didn't want everybody to know my business. I didn't want everybody to know everything about me because you dig, you never know. You know what I'm saying? You never know. I was being very cautious. I was always in survival mode, you dig? So yeah, man, 5 years. She didn't know my full government name. And when she found out, she's like, damn, I couldn't believe it. You really kept that away from me for that long? I said, yeah, I did. But you know, it was for your benefit, man. You know what I mean? It was for your benefit because I didn't want you to get in any problems. If the police end up looking for me, I don't want you to have to point me out in the lineup. I don't want you to really get yourself involved with any of the bullshit that I was getting myself into. But like I said again, I got a lot of F's on my report card. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I'm not squeaky clean. You dig? Some people out there like to act like they polished and clean and they never did nothing wrong. But me, yeah, I've done a lot of wrong in my life, but I made the change. I made the necessary change that I had to in order to live a different type of lifestyle, in order to clean up my act. Because at the end of the day, man, you only can do wrong for so long. Like I said again, you can pick your sins, but you can't pick your consequences. And also, the devil will take you far, but leave you longer than you want to stay. And I didn't want to stay that long and that living a negative life, you dig? I wanted to live a positive life, so I had to make a change, man.
All my life I heard the expressions, you gotta fake it to make it. But I never really subscribed to that concept because I believe you gotta think it to make it. See, whatever the mind of man can conceive and bring itself to believe, he can achieve. Change your mind and you can change your life.
Take a whiff, I'm the black Richie Rich. Do it all on my own. I ain't never need a cause it's all in the wrist. She in love with the sniff. I'm in love with the bricks. Like I'm short, like I'm thick. Make a bust like the rhyme. Only hit it one time.
And see, one of the reasons why I kept a lot of alias too, man, is because, like I said again, a smart old school guy told me a long time ago, man, a smart rabbit always keep more than one hose. You dig? And I didn't say hose, I said holes. You dig? A smart rabbit keep more than one hose. You know what I mean? And I consider myself at that time to be a smart rabbit. So I always kept different women in different boroughs that I can definitely, you know, hide out at. You dig? Call it the honeycomb hideout. A chick, you know, sometimes you want to get low. You go all the way to Staten Island. You dig? Or you go all the way, I used to go all the way to White Plains when I want to get low, man. You know what I mean? I had a chick all the way in White Plains. I wanted to get low key. I'd be out there for a month and just chilling, you know what I mean? That was just how I was giving it up. That's how I was moving, man. That was my lifestyle at the time. But like I said again, I'm a changed man now, and I definitely reformed. But I realized in hindsight that I was keeping all those aliases and having all those different personalities because I was reinventing myself. Every time I went to another female crib, I was reinventing myself. I was a different person. If that female knew me as Sean, then I was conducting myself as Sean. If I went to Queens and the female knew me as Sincere, then I was conducting myself as Sincere in that particular element. And when I look back at it, same thing when I moved to, you know what I mean, Atlanta, or when I moved to New York, or when I moved to Las Vegas, I realized each time I moved to a different place, I had a different alias. I had a whole different style. I had a whole different getup. You dig? Like when I moved to Atlanta, I was more low key. You dig? And when I moved to Atlanta, I changed everything about me. I really changed my whole perception of life. You dig? In New York, I was wild, all over the street, just, you know what I mean, hurry up trying to get it, moving fast, like a chicken with his head cut off. You dig? You know how it is in New York City, man. You on a hustle bustle type of vibe. You moving and grooving. You ain't waiting on nobody, you dig? You trying to get it by any means necessary. That was the mentality being in New York City. But when I moved to Atlanta, I was a little bit more reserved. I was still on that get it by any means necessary, but it was a little bit more reserved. I wasn't outside as much. I was more low key, and I wasn't trying to make friends. My persona, my personality in Atlanta was, let me get to the bag, don't go clubbing, don't do no partying, don't do anything that is going to put me on the radar. I want to be very low key. I didn't even have a car for about, I think almost about 2 years. I didn't even have a car. I lived in Buckhead, right? Nice area in Buckhead over there by Lenox. But anyway, and that was just my vibe. I think I had a motorcycle after the first 6 months. I bought a motorcycle, but I was just getting rentals and, moving from one state to one state, doing my thing. And that was my mentality. I didn't want to make no friends. I didn't really want to meet that much females. I probably met one female. Nah, I ain't gonna lie. I met a few females in Atlanta, but one that I took serious, you know what I mean? And we was busting moves and doing our thing at that particular time. But like I said again, I reinvented myself. I was more low key. I was a little bit more reserved. I was more focused. I even dressed a little bit different. I even conducted myself in certain environments a little bit different because, like I said again, I didn't know it, but I was reinventing myself, you dig? And same thing when I moved to Vegas, same exact thing, you dig? Switch up. I reinvented myself again. Different alias, different name, not as far as government name, but just the alias change, you dig? So people know me as different things based on the times you met me in your life. If you met me in the Bahamas, you knew me as one thing. If you met me in New York, you knew me as a whole different person. If you met me in Atlanta, you knew me as someone else. If you met me in Las Vegas, I had a whole different alias, whole different persona. Reason being is because I'm in a new environment. I wanted to adapt to my environments. I wanted to see what was going on. So at the end of the day, I changed up based on the environment, but I didn't change me, the core person that I am. I changed certain things about myself, certain habits about myself, because you have to adjust to the location. And I didn't notice at the time. I was just moving and grooving and I was just doing it unconsciously. You dig? Just moving through life. And like I said again, you have to reinvent yourself in different stages of your life. You dig? If you want to survive in this world today, you got to be able to reinvent yourself. You cannot stay the same. And the thing about it is this, you can reinvent yourself too in a negative way. Because like I said again, moving to Vegas, I reinvented myself, but I picked up habits along the way that wasn't really mine. See, you got to be aware of that as well. I picked up the habit of gambling. That wasn't who I was in New York City. That wasn't who I was in Atlanta. That wasn't my persona and personality when I was in these different places. I picked that personality up when I was in Vegas, you know what I mean? Drinking a little bit more and partying a little bit more and, gambling a little bit more, taking a little bit more risk. See, I took risks in New York and different places, but I was taking different type of risks in Vegas. I was gambling with my money, and that's the type of risk you don't want to take, because at the end of the day, man, these casinos isn't built up on winners, man. They built up on losers. You feel me? So I eventually started losing, but I had to peel back the layers and really understand, hold up, where did I get this from? I had to backtrack and check all my steps, and I realized I got some of these habits and these traits from hanging out with the wrong people. That's why it's very important that you choose the right people to hang out with in any place you move to, you dig? In any walks of life, you got to be very careful who you hang out with and who you be around, because they say your average salary or your network will be the average of your 5 best friends, right? And that's facts. Your habits will be aligned with your 5 best friends, the people that you hang out with. They say birds of a feather flock together. That's somewhat true, because I started picking up my homeboys' habits of going out, drinking, and gambling. That wasn't my speed. That wasn't the persona that I wanted to really have for myself. So eventually I shook that off, you dig? But I say all that to say this, you dig? At the end of the day, if you've been living somewhere for most of your life, I think it's wise to move out of your environment, find a different place that you can move to, and it's going to force you to elevate. It's going to force you to reinvent yourself. It's going to force you to do things a little bit different, because a new environment will have you thinking a whole different way. When I moved to Atlanta, for some reason, my mind started moving a little bit slower. This is one of the reasons I moved from Atlanta, because I realized that, damn, everybody moving slow. The cashier is slow. The bank teller at the bank is slow. When I go to order my food, the person at the register is slow. They moving slow. Now, they're very intelligent people, but they move a little bit slow. Being in New York City, everything is hustle and bustle. Everybody moving fast. They shaking and baking. You dig? They doing their thing. They bumping into people. They being rude. That's New York City. You dig? And I was used to that, but being in Atlanta, I had to slow it down. And when I noticed that I was slowing it down and my brain started slowing down, then I realized, okay, I need to get what I need to get from Atlanta and make a transition. And Vegas was a great place for me because it was fast, but not too fast. It had the hustle and bustle type of vibe, but you can be a little bit more reserved too if you live on the outskirts. You don't have to be involved in the melee, but you could also be involved in it if you want to. And you could also have that residential lifestyle if you want to as well. So that fit perfect for me, so I can have the duality of both. And I could adapt to that whole, you know what I mean, environment because of who I am coming from New York, being in Atlanta. Now I could have a little bit of both, you know what I mean? So I know I'm kind of, rambling on and talking too fast, but I want y'all to really catch what I'm trying to say. Matter of fact, I ain't talking too fast, you listening too slow. You dig? Sometimes I spit it like that because that's just the way I'm feeling, baby. You know what I mean? Y'all just got to pay attention and listen a little bit faster and understand that everything I'm going to say has a jewel in it. So you got to really catch the jewel. You dig? But anyway, we're going to move along and we're going to tell you how to reinvent yourself. But before I get into that, what I realized in life is this, right? Everyone that was able to reinvent themselves, they sustained and they was able to stand the test of time. You dig? All the major celebrities, all the major people in the world, you dig, that's doing something prolific, that was able to reinvent themselves, they was able to sustain a level of success and not fall off and fall on their face, you dig, and wasn't basically a subject to just being a has-been, you know what I mean? Just like Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson wrote a letter to himself in 1979 saying he was going to reinvent himself. He was going to change from Michael Jackson to MJ. He was going to study all the greats. He was going to study everybody that came before him. He was going to be able to learn everything they did and do it better and outperform them. He was going to be the best performer. He was going to be the one that's constantly learning, constantly practicing his craft. He was going to be just prolific. He wrote this down in a journal in 1979. You dig? He was going to transform from Michael Jackson to MJ. He wasn't going to do no interviews. He was just going to study and practice and work on his craft all day, every day. He said he was going to be like magic. And that's what he was. He reinvented himself so much that he was like magic to the point Michael Jackson became one of the biggest entertainers in the world because he understand the power of reinventing himself and also the power of the pen. Writing it down. And when he wrote it down on a white piece of paper with blue ink. This is why it's very important that y'all do that when y'all writing y'all goals down. White piece of paper, blue ink. I always stress that, you dig? That's one of the key details that I noticed when I saw his letter that he wrote to himself in his journal, you know what I mean? He reinvented himself and he was like magic, became one of the biggest pop stars in the world. All the people that reinvented themselves became some major players in this game of ours, you know what I mean, that we call life. Cameron and Mace reinvented themselves, started a podcast, started a show all about sports, gained 20 million, got a 20 million contract because they reinvented themselves. You dig? It's a lot of people that reinvented themselves. Cameron, Mace, Drake, LL Cool J, big heavy hitters in the game, reinvented themselves. 50 Cent, you dig? Reinvented himself. All the major people that you see today that stand the test of time, that lasted long, they reinvented themselves. Even Puff Daddy, you know what I mean? Diddy, he reinvented himself. Although he's going through those struggles in his life right now, the reason he was able to sustain a level of success constantly because he always reinvented himself. He went from Puff Daddy to Puffy, to Diddy, to Sean Combs, to Love. You dig? He had so much different stages of his life where he reinvented himself and changed his name, but also changed his persona, changed his way of thinking. You dig? But at the end of the day, ultimately he got crossed up because he didn't change his core beliefs. You know what I mean? You got to do right by people at the end of the day. Your core beliefs got to be solid. And that leads me to the reasons why I think you never reinvented yourself. And that's because you don't know who you are. Because if you did, you would know that you've adopted characteristic traits that's affecting you negatively in your life. That you gotta change, because if you want things to change in your life, you got to change things in your life. And it's just that simple. And the thing about it is this, your stubbornness have cost you more than you would like to admit. You fool yourself to believe that you're in control, that you could change if you wanted to, but that's a lie. All your life, your mother told you about your attitude. Your father told you you had a hard head, but you refused to listen. You don't know how to reinvent yourself, and you're scared or embarrassed to ask for help. You put on this fake persona and act like you got it all figured out, but you don't. You won't take constructive criticism. You won't take constructive advice. You pretend to know everything. But we all see through the bullshit. We really know who you are. Just another lost soul drifting through life, headed nowhere fast. Cheers, what it is and what it ain't. It's yours truly, Liquid Cash. I need it all out the stash, AKA, but it ain't about that right now, man. It's about the Cash Academy, Personal Development Transformation Academy, where you can be, do, and have anything and everything you want out of life, how to make your dreams come true, how to manifest your reality, but most importantly, how to raise your DNA vibration. Y'all been asking me about my hair routine, my skin routine, my morning routine. Y'all been asking me all type of questions in my DM, but I've been hearing and I got the answers. Listen, the Cash Academy is the place where you need to sign up right now so you can have all the answers to the questions that you may have. You dig? Sign up right now. Join the Cash Academy with yours truly, Liquid Cash. Cheers. When I look back on my life, I realized 3 most important things about myself that took me from the streets to the penthouse suites. 3 secrets to my success. Number 1, my superpower was being able to reinvent myself at different stages of my life. That was very important, you know what I mean? To reinvent myself at different stages, man, because I was going through so much, I had to figure things out, you know what I mean? And at the end of the day, I'm not talking about just changing basic habits. I had to really transform, man, from the way that I dress, from my eating habits, from the content I consume. Man, I had to really make a big transition, even from the music I listened to, man, to the books that I read. You feel me? And the way that I live my life. No more 4 wings and fried rice for me at the Chinese spot, man. You dig? No more watching senseless TV. Now I listen to Baroque classical music and Sade. You dig? I read books by Earl Nightingale. I read books by Napoleon Hill, by Robert Vincent Peale, by Dick Gregory, Sidney Poitier. I did a complete transformation. I reinvented myself. My second superpower was the power of adaptability. See, my world was constantly changing, but I was able to adapt to different environments and situations that was occurring in my life at the time. I could have been staying in the hood or sleeping at the Four Seasons. I was comfortable in my skin, no matter what condition I was in, because I understood one valuable lesson. Don't be a product of your environment. Let your environment be a product of you. I learned that from one of the old school players back in the days, man. You know what I mean? Last but not least, my superpower was my core beliefs. Even though I was able to reinvent myself and adapt to the changes, I never changed my core beliefs. You know what I mean? I picked up a lot of core beliefs along the way. You know what I mean? On my journey. To this day, my core belief is still the same. Lead with good intentions. Even if I was doing wrong, I always led with good intentions. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, man, you got to be a man of integrity, a man of morals and principles. You dig? That I never broke my morals or principles, man, for nobody. You dig? I wasn't trying to give up my balls to ball, and I wasn't trying to sell my soul for a piece of gold. I didn't mind taking the steps all the way to success. That was my mentality. And I realized in life, man, every hustler that was not able to reinvent themselves are either dead or in jail or broke, man. You know what I mean? So you have to be able to reinvent yourself. You have to be able to change your personality at different times depending on what's going on in your life. You dig? Or where you at in life. And for me personally, like I said again, those were my superpowers. Those are the 3 things that I learned about myself along the way. In hindsight, though, I wasn't really picking up what I was putting down back then. I wasn't really catching on to what I was actually doing. I was doing it unconsciously. But when I look back in hindsight, I was really reinventing myself every step of the way. Every step of the way, I was reinventing myself, you dig? So it's important that you have the courage to reinvent yourself as well. You can't change overnight. It ain't gonna happen overnight, but you gotta have the courage at the end of the day, because you're gonna go through trials and tribulations. You're gonna go through things that's gonna be painful, but at the end of the day, champions turn pain into pursuit. Champions turn pain into purpose, you dig? And once you find that purpose, you're gonna go after it for dear life. That's what I was. I was a gladiator moving through the streets, moving through the concrete jungle, trying to find my way. You dig? But I was a lion, so I was able to adapt to the environment and change. Like I said again, hindsight is 20/20. Now I see perfectly clear. Now I understand what I was doing. Now I really knew why that I survived and some of my friends didn't. I knew why I was able to gain certain level of success and my friends wasn't able to gain a certain level of success, because I was moving at a speed of light and I was changing with the times. I didn't get stuck. I was changing with the times. There's always that old school player that talk about, you know what I mean? He don't like the music of this day and age. They don't like the way people are dressing. They don't like the way people are talking or moving. But at the end of the day, man, if you don't adapt, you're going to be a dinosaur out here. You feel me? Yeah, you're going to be a dinosaur out here, and you don't want to be that, man. Like I said, again, all the old school niggas that didn't reinvent themselves or change, man, they either broke in jail or they just dead, basically. You dig? Because if you ain't growing, you're dying. You got to understand that, man. If you ain't growing, you're dying. So you always want to be growing. You always want to be evolving. You always want to be changing. You can't be the same. You don't want to be the same. You always want to just see what's going on and add a little bit to your flavor. You don't got to follow the trend. Nah, you be the flow. You don't got to follow the trend. You be the trend. You create the trend. You dig? It's very simple. I took a little bit from over here, over there, and I created whatever persona that you may see today. I'm constantly reinventing myself. It's very important. And like I was saying earlier, I believe everybody should go through a major breakup in their life. I believe going through a major breakup forces you to reinvent yourself. I've been through a lot of major breakups in my life that forced me to reinvent myself. I remember one time I was dating this chick, man, and we was really rocking. I was really feeling her. She was feeling me. We was really elevating each other. I was making things happen. She was making things happen. We was moving up in life. And at this one particular time in our life, we was on rocky terms, you know what I'm saying? We was on a rocky road. Things wasn't really going right. And she ended up leaving me for whatever reason, you dig? And I really was invested in her emotionally, you dig? And at the end of the day, I didn't let her see it. I still maintain my integrity. I still maintain my pride. Now, I didn't let pride get in the way of the relationship, but I don't ever go back to something that left me. If you're stupid enough to leave me, then it's your fault or it's your loss, you dig? Because I always say, man, you know what I mean? See, every time I lost a chick, matter of fact, let me rephrase that. Every time a chick lose me, you dig? I reinvent myself, man. I come out stronger in the end, you dig? I be a whole different person. I create myself to be a whole different beast, you dig? I don't never let her see me fall or let nobody see me down. I always elevate. I always uplift myself. I always transform into a better version of myself. That's why I say everybody should go through a major breakup in their life. Every man should feel some type of situation or adversity in his life to make him just want to just be a different version of himself, you know what I mean? And didn't want to repeat that particular event. So it's important that you experience something that forces you to change. Yeah, you gotta go through that. It's a must. Don't try to avoid it. You need that. It's gonna make character, and character is following through on a decision long after the excitement and the emotion has passed. So long after the excitement and the emotion has passed, you got to have character to continue to be a different person or continue to go on the path that you're trying to go on to be successful. Continue to move and push forward. Like Martin Luther King said, if you can't fly, you run. If you can't run, you walk. If you can't walk, you crawl. By good almighty, you got to keep on moving. You dig? No matter what's going on in your life, you got to keep on moving. But like I said, man, I'm going to give y'all a game on how to reinvent yourself after a bad breakup, all right? See, I might not give you the best advice, but I'm going to give you the realest advice at the end of the day, man. And if it don't apply, let it fly. At the end of the day, I want y'all to know this. I was 20 years old when I had this mindset. So you dig? You might not want to follow my advice right now, but it is what it is. You might want to follow it if it applies, you dig? First thing first. Number one, you got to take accountability for everything that happens in your life. You got to take accountability for the demise of your relationship. Now, you can point the finger all you want, but it takes two to tango. You got to remember that. Know what I mean? They see me, I never played the blame game. That's one thing I never did. I never played the blame game. I always took full responsibility for my fuck up. You know what I mean? Secondly, I kept another on the side to keep me occupied. I never chased. I always replaced one with another one that was better than my ex. That's just how I was moving, man. I always kept one that was better. You know why? Because a smart rabbit always got more than one hose. Y'all already know it. You dig? Know what I mean? Listen, and I ain't had time to be depressed, man. I was chasing a check. I ain't really had time to be depressed. None of y'all dudes out there got time to be depressed, man. You got to go get the bag, man. Go get the money. You feel me? Now check this out. The third thing that you need to do is spend a minimum of 30 days in solitude. A minimum. See, listen, man. It's good to be alone. It's good to be alone and study yourself and learn yourself and analyze yourself. You're going to make mistakes, man. You got to understand why you made those mistakes. So it's good to be alone, man. Listen, spend some time in solitude and agree to change those things that you find out about yourself that you didn't like, man, and stick to the script. Don't switch it up. Stick to the script after you change those things. And the fourth thing you got to do, man, this is a very hard one for a lot of y'all, but I want y'all to understand this. It's very important. You got to get closer to God. You gotta get closer to the universal God. It's important, man. You can't do nothing without him. You know what I mean? Get more spiritually inclined. Realign your chakras, man. It's very important. You dig? So you can manifest the things you really want. You can manifest that person you really want in your life or that job you really want in your life. You know what I mean? You can manifest things when you get more closer to God, but you got to put in the work because faith without works is dead. It's very important for you to understand that, man. See, it's important for you to be aware of what you don't want so you can focus now on what you do want. I never took women serious that wasn't an asset in my life. You have to be an asset. I don't take anybody serious if they're not an asset, if they're a liability in my life. You know what I mean? See, listen, man. If you can't be used, you're useless. See, the problem isn't being used. The problem is nobody want to be taken advantage of. You can't take advantage of people. And number 5 is the last but not least. I want y'all to understand this, man. We ain't got time to cry over spilled milk, man. I never cried over spilled milk. I kept it Kim. I kept it moving, man. That's how I was able to reinvent myself. And that's how you can be able to reinvent yourself, man. Keep it Kim. Keep it moving. It's an oldie, but it's a goodie. I want y'all to understand that, man. It's very important for y'all to reinvent yourself, start over, be a different person. You got to find the courage to change. You got to find the courage from within and understand, like I said before, you're going to go through the trials and tribulations. You're going to go through things that's going to bring you pain. But the pain creates champions, and the champion turns those pain into purpose. It's important for you to understand that we ain't going to cry over nothing. We're going to make it happen. We're going to figure it out. We're going to deal with what we got to deal with. You dig? And I want y'all to really to understand that you're going to go through these things in your life, man. But it's important that you find the strength to reinvent yourself. You dig? Be afraid of comfort and stagnation. You know what I mean? Embrace challenges and change because they equate to growth and development. You want to always be growing. You always want to be raising your consciousness. You always want to be evolving. You always want to be a whole different person, man. At the end of the day, I'm giving y'all some news y'all can use so y'all can change y'all perspective on life. So y'all could also change some of those core beliefs that you have that's not serving you. You dig? Some of y'all got certain core beliefs that's blocking y'all. Some of y'all believe the root of money is evil. Some of y'all believe that certain things that was passed down from your family tree that is blocking you and not causing you to be prosperous and not causing you to really achieve your goals and things that you want. You know what I mean? That female that you're looking for, that job that you're looking for, that man that you want, man, you dig? He's right around the corner, but you really blinded by the things that's in your way. You blinded by your personality. Your personality's in the way. You got to be able to shake that shit off and understand, man, you got to reinvent yourself if you really want to be able to survive in this new world. The niggas that can't reinvent themselves, man, they stuck like Chuck. They still wearing white tees, still wearing Jordans all day, every day. Ain't nothing wrong with wearing Jordans, but man, you got to switch it up, man. Get some red bottoms in your closet. Get some hard bottoms in your closet. Get you a suit, man. You got to switch it up, man. You know what I mean? That's how you got to do it. I'm constantly reinventing myself. That's the one thing about me. I'm never staying stagnant. I'm never staying the same. I'm constantly reinventing myself. Y'all watching me as I reinvent myself right now on this podcast. Y'all seen a whole different person. Y'all seen a whole different side of me. I'm reinventing myself right in real time in the front of y'all. So y'all seeing this version that is going to take me to the next stage of my life, you dig? Because I already got done with the old phase of my life. I already got done with the old persona. Sometimes you got to kill off the dead cells. You got to kill off that dead weight. You got to kill off that dead persona, that dead personality that's dragging you down. And you got to become a new person, you dig? You got to uplift yourself and rise to the occasion when the occasion is presented, you dig? When the time presents itself, yeah, you got to be able to switch it up, man. You feel me? You can't have the mentality like, oh, I ain't gonna never put on a suit. That was my mentality when I was young and dumb. I thought like, why would I put on a suit? Why would I even need a suit? Why would I even go to the store and buy a suit, man? Let me go get some white tee, some Air Force Ones, and I'm gonna call it a day and I'm gonna be fly. That was the mentality. You feel me? But I evolved. I grew wiser and I realized, nah, that ain't the wave. That ain't the wave at all, man. You got to change it up. You got to switch it up. Yeah, you got to go put on a suit, man, if you really want to, you know what I mean, have those meetings and have people in certain corporations take you seriously. And if you want to close those $1 million deals, you want to close those $100,000 deals, you got to switch it up. You might have to take the earrings out your ears. You might have to take the pinky ring off. You might have to do that in certain environments. It's cool. But when you get back in that car and you get back to your location or where you live at, you can put that shit back on. But when you go into certain offices and you talking to certain people, you got to take certain things off and switch it up for the environment. You don't change your core beliefs. Like I said, again, you still got to move with integrity. You still got to have morals and principle, but you got to know how to just adjust yourself to the certain environment that you're in. That's basically what I want to say. That's basically what I'm trying to convey. You dig? That woman that you want, like I said again, that job that you want, everything you want, it's right there, but you got to really raise yourself to that frequency in order to receive that. If you want a new car, you got to raise yourself to that frequency, which means you got to really change who you are. You means you got to change your DNA vibration. You can't pretend to be somebody new. You actually got to do the work. That's really what it is. You can't pretend. This ain't no pretend. I'm doing the work. So I get the rewards in life because your reward in life is in exact proportion as your efforts. I put in a lot of effort behind the scenes. It's the shots that I shoot that you don't see that really makes me who I am, you dig? You only focus on the shots that I hit, but you got to see all the shots that I miss. And I'm taking so much shots on the off season, so when it's game time, I'm sharp, you dig? So I want y'all to really soak that up and understand the power of reinventing yourself, man, changing yourself to the point you appear to be new, but you ain't trying to appear to be new. You really want to be new. You really want to do the work. You really want to raise your DNA vibration. You really want to change your way of thinking. In order to change things in your life, you got to change things in your life, man. And it is what it is, man. The best way to predict the future is to create it. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Also, man, I want you to click the notification button, leave a comment below, and let me know what type of topics y'all would like for me to discuss. And, you know what I mean, certain topics y'all want me to talk about. That's all y'all got to do is, man, leave a comment below and we'll chop it up, all right? It's yours truly, Liquid Cash. I need it all out the stash, a.k.a. money making. Y'all know the rest. Cheers.
Yeah. It's the Pirates of the Caribbean. Niggas can't fuck with me, man.
That boy.
It's Liquid Cash. I need it all out the stash.
I'ma get rich or I'ma get deported. Riding cross country, my Ford Taurus.